Tom, a new deal. How exciting for you to get that locked out of the way early?
Yeah, obviously very exciting, mate. We are. Yeah, it was something that I didn't want to go anywhere else. That wasn't ever in the plans. But and I've been consistent with you guys at the start of the year saying it was about getting my body right to begin with, and then once we got that started, the negotiations begun, and to actually have it done now is just great. Especially with what I've said before, the group we're building here, and you've heard it from everyone that it's exciting and we're going places, and I think the future's bright for us. So not just personally for me to get done, but for the 10 blokes that have signed this year, and yeah, it's exciting for me personally, but also just to see where this club's going.
Surely there would have been a little bit of interest, an easy decision not to explore a move on.
Yeah, easy decision, pretty much. I've got no interest to move home. Adelaide's been home since I got drafted, and for me and my partner Em, it's been incredibly welcoming, like just the community itself, the fans, but then also the club, and yeah, I've found a nice little, I don't know, not a niche, but just I feel like Adelaide's, it's meant for me. And in terms of moving back, that would be to do with the club and stuff, but the club's given me no reason to go back home, and especially with what we're building here, as I mentioned before, and the relationships I've developed with everyone from upstairs to the playing group, coaching staff, and yeah, I just didn't see there was any real reason to even consider it, to be honest.
Were there a few picking up the phone and giving you a ring? I don't know how that works. Was your manager saying if you wanted to, this is on the table or whatever?
No.
They would just sort of sit on their hands until you say you want to leave. I don't know how the deals work.
Yeah, I don't know either, to be honest. So no, it probably wasn't even brought up because of the not tunnel vision, but because of the way that I've come across and the way that, which was genuine all along, that this is where I wanted to be. So even if it was something that the manager didn't bring up or whatnot, it was just never really considered because I didn't want to go anywhere else.
And the 2 years, talk us through the length of the deal. Is that what you wanted, what the club wanted, what everyone wanted? Yeah,
pretty much what everyone wanted. Obviously 2 years, it's not one of the longer ones, but it gives me flexibility in terms of, personally, I feel like I've still got a lot developing to do as a footballer, but also the club in regards to if you put 2 years down the road and we're building what we're trying to build, it gives us a bit of movement to bring people in and move stuff around money-wise. So I think it was good for both parties, and that was the agreement from the start. There wasn't anything that was sort of I wanted more and the Crows wouldn't give more, or vice versa. So it was pretty much from the start 2 years, and we worked through it.
Is that something that you like to sort of take on your own when you're in these negotiations with in 2 years' time, I want to be able to help, my contract can help bring in other people, that sort of thing? Yeah,
I think so, yeah. I don't think it's something, it wasn't something like I was overt about at the start, like let's get this done, but I want to have it so that I can, but it was just looking at it from a personal point of view and a team point of view. 2 years I think just made sense for both parties, and as I said, what we're doing here, what I feel like we're building, if you look in 2 years down the road and that can mean we can get another player in that helps us get to where we're ultimately trying to get to, that's something that I would gladly do because of what we've achieved, not just this year, but also what we built foundation-wise last year.
What's been the big change, do you think, Tom, in the last couple of years? What's Nixie brought to this group? And you talk about what you're building. What does that look like?
Yeah, it can be a bit tough to articulate. I think the main thing is just the looking after one another, but then just a clear focus on what we want to be as a club, and that's off field. That's obviously we want to be pillars of the community and look after each other, but also represent what this club should be to our fans and members. But then also on the field, just that clear game plan of we're going to be tough to play against, even if we're not winning games, we're going to make you earn it. But then now it's also moved into that. Ball movement's looking better, our team defence is looking better, and we're starting to build onto that. And then you combine that with the fact that we've got some young boys that are really developing, older guys that are having career best years and things like that, where it's all starting to come together, and I don't want to miss out on that, to be honest.
Tommy, congratulations, mate. The 2 years takes you to being a restricted free agent. Did that play, was that a factor at all in determining the length of 10 years like a restricted free agent?
Actually, do you want me to fix that up before we go on?
Oh gosh, we're all over the shop. Thank you.
You can get cream for that.
The biggest microphone. It's very long.
It's a long mic. Did the free agency play a role, mate?
Nah, it was more the 2 years that I spoke about before, just that flexibility and stuff. And yeah, and personally, like, I'm not trying to make this about me, but it's something that I wanted to have in terms of in 2 years' time, I feel like I can be another level of footballer. And long-term security is obviously ideal, but that's something I'd look at 2-3 years down the road.
And just looking at the Melbourne situation, I know players probably don't have any clarity, but does it concern you at all what's going on, and do you know when you'll fly out, how you'll prepare for the game on Sunday?
Yeah, well, to be honest, you guys know as much as we do at the moment. Yeah, no, obviously my concern mainly is for the people in Melbourne, and especially I've got friends, family, and everyone else back there, that what they've gone through, that would be, it's obviously a scary time, and as a football club for us, it's not so much about, I mean, footy's obviously a big thing, and we want to play against Richmond, whether that be at the G, whether that be here or whatnot, but I think the bigger issue at the moment is actually just figuring out what's going on with that cluster and what's going on with COVID, and then footy will step up after that.
So you're preparing to go Saturday, or your normal routine would be to go Saturday, play Sunday?
Yeah, normal routine would fly in Saturday, play Sunday, and then come home, and that's what we're preparing for at the moment. So we're looking at it as if we're playing Richmond on Sunday, and whether that changes day, time, place, whatever, we'll adjust that as it goes along. But at the moment, yeah, it's pretty much just prepare for Richmond as if it was a normal week, and there was nothing changing.
Bit of deja vu, almost. Do you, as players, after the freedoms that you've been able to enjoy this year, do you almost hold your breath and go, from a selfish point of view, hopefully not again?
Yeah, I think it's from a selfish point of view for us, but also for society in general, that it's like, here we go again in terms of the outbreak, but also like this hurt a lot of people outside of footy, and I think there's a bigger picture thing. Like, footy's obviously, we're going to have to adjust around this if it continues to develop, but so is Melbourne in general. So as footballers, we're lucky to play the game, and I think the way that it's gone this year and having those freedoms back has been nice, but we'll happily sacrifice those if it means that we get to keep playing this game.
How have you found your footy this year, Tony, personally?
Oh yeah, not too bad. Trying to get a kick here and there. My main thing that I've liked is similar to 2018 when I come in, just the gelling of our backline. Our team as a group, you've obviously seen that sort of collective start to develop in the way that we're playing as a group, but the backline, the way that we've progressed through the first few weeks, and Geelong was sort of like come out, just compete, but now we're starting to get a bit more clarity and a bit more strings to our bow. Like, offensively, we're moving the ball better. Defensively, we know each other's strengths and weaknesses, and it's just been great for me to fit into that, because I know I get seen as the intercept, like roll-off defender, but I've sort of taken a bit more of a one-on-one defender role and then roll off where I can. And the fact that Butsy and Nick Murray and Jack Kelly have all had great years in terms of just getting their job done, that's allowed me to get mine done, but also roll off and help them. So personally, I feel like I've been doing all right, but it's been made easier by those boys.
What do you think works better for the team? Because we all see you play that intercept role in years gone by and go, he's on fire, he's having a massive game, and then when you play more of a lockdown game, you don't notice that as much because you're doing other things. Which one do you think works better for the benefit of the team?
It's a tough one. I don't think you can make a hard and fast rule on which one works better. It's more probably game plan dependent would be a part of that. Whether it's if they're playing 3 talls and then it's like, well, maybe I just need to get on a tall and get that done, or if they're playing smalls, maybe it's put me on a small and roll off and try and help out. But it also depends on how that other team move the ball and things like that. So I think the beauty of it is, especially with Jack Kelly's intercept stuff's been great this year. Butsy, you know what Butsy and Nick Murray can do, and even Smithers when he goes tall, that it's that ability to be flexible. And so some weeks it might be the lockdown, some weeks it might be the intercept, and whatever works best for the team.
So when they come to you and say we're picking Butts and Nick Murray this week and you're going to be playing on the 3rd tall, it doesn't make you go, oh, I'm going to enjoy this game a little bit more.
Nah. Well, because the thing with that is I like the challenge of playing on like a Darling or someone as well, but I also like playing on a small and then being able to roll off and play that. It's not my natural game, but play like what I know I can do. So I don't know, it's an interesting one. It genuinely does vary week by week, because some weeks I'm going, geez, I can't wait to match up on this. Like, how good's it going to be 50 in the 50 one-on-one with Dusty versus playing on a smaller guy and rolling off to support on Dusty. So I like both elements. I can't give you one or the other. I'm not trying to give you the media response there. I genuinely, each week, I'm like, I don't mind either way. It's just whatever works best.
How have you
Maybe
been-
right into the
Are you
next
saying you're going to
Dusty.
play on Dusty
Yeah.
this week?
I'll just give you that little tip. Nah. We actually, well, we haven't even looked into that just yet, but that'll be a discussion for tomorrow, and I'll send you a message.
Okay. Brody's going to have to say he's not going to play on him.
Brody's very
Yeah.
That's typical Brody, by the way. Brody doesn't play on anyone. Yeah, no, we'll look at that tomorrow and we'll go forward from there.
How impressed have you been with what Murray, Butts, yourself have been able to do in the absence of Taylor?
Yeah, those two boys are. I'd be lying if I said I was surprised because I saw the work that they put in, especially Murray this pre-season, just the way that he's come through. But Butsy sort of brought in, from his first year, you saw a bit of it, and then the second year, last year when he started to play towards the end of the year, you went, he could really be something, and he just continued that all off-season and pre-season. So as much as I know it's sort of been surprising to the general public because I think Butsy had played 2 games before the start of the year or 1 game, and then Nick Murray hadn't played any. We'd seen the work that they'd put in against Tex and Bill and Elliot in the pre-season and knew it was coming. So they've made my job easier, and I know Jake Kelly and the Smalls are really love the fact that they can kill spoils and bring the ball to ground and allow them to work, but also that they can just get the job done when they need to. And that's the way we look at our team, is when it's your turn to go, when you got to be that role player and just get it done, they do. And immensely proud of how hard they've worked and where they've got to.
You drafted in 2015, but you didn't debut until 2018.
Thanks for reminding me.
Fisher, the reason I bring it up, Tom, is Fisher's a sort of similar cat where he's sort of was thrust in early, he's given it a year now to sort of develop and get his body right. How important were those 2 years for you before you played AFL level? And secondly, do you look at Fish and say a bit of time to get yourself fit and ready is going to be worth it?
Yeah, I think so. I thought my 2 years were incredibly important in terms of me coming in 2018 and having an immediate impact. But I think I was probably ready to go 2017. It just coincided with the fact that we were top of the ladder and rolling. But Fisher showed glimpses. His pre-season last year was incredible, and then he showed some good stuff to start the year. And obviously this year, just Butsy and Nick Murray have just had a better start to the year. But his sample form and his work ethic and sort of head down, bum up, just get going. And he's shown to us that he's got another level to go. And I think the fact that he signed on for 2 years shows where his head's at, that this is the spot for him. And if he can get another 5-6 games in a row and either an injury happens or form means that it's his turn to go, we trust him that he's going to come in and have an impact. And whether that be in the coming weeks or later down the road, he'll be ready to go.
Do you talk to him about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All the boys that don't play early, it's something that I can empathise with, and I think it's something it's hard to, because the hardest thing, and it applies to all life. These boys are urgent and they want to play. They're impatient in that regard, but they need to have that sort of balance of knowing that it's not just going to happen instantly. So if I can be a shoulder for them to lean on and just be like, how'd you do it, or what's going on, how did you get through it, then I'm going to put my hand up and look after them.
Tom, how much does the leadership side of things help contribute to that feeling of home for you and your place at the club? I guess probably started when you did your knee and were working with the sample boys, and now you're essentially a vice captain at 24. How big a role has that played in your time?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether, I don't know if the title of being in the leadership group has had any impact on that. It might have given me a bit more of a push towards developing in that regard. But like this group of boys I've had such good relationships with since I got here, the ones that are still around, and then these last 2 years, what we've built and the relationships I've developed is sort of just come naturally. I don't think it's me being in the leadership group going, I have to look after these boys. They're just such an easy group to get along with. And that was, definitely a part of it. It was like, well, if I'm going to a different club, why would I want to leave? Like, why would I want to leave this group who's means so much to me, but also is building something and have done so much for me as well. So I don't necessarily think it was the leadership group angle, but I think there's a part of it that's just working with that group. Yeah.
You're often called a future captain. How does that sit with you?
A little bit uncomfortable, especially like with where we're at the moment. It's just, I think that's been a bit of like spin, and obviously me standing in as captain didn't help that, but that was part of the reason. But no, Sloaney is honestly the most incredible on-field leader, and I've learnt so much from him from when I first got to the club, and especially working with him closely in the last 2 years. So that's something that'll take care down the road, but it's not something I'm focused on at the moment.
What does Sloaney teach you?
What does he teach me?
Yeah.
Oh,
How long?
everything. You are, The one thing he doesn't teach me, which I think he would like to, would be a bit of surfing stuff, because he he loves to surf and I'm not massive on it. So outside of that, I think the biggest thing with him is obviously his passion for the club. That's second to none, and everyone recognises that. But it's just his ability to day in, day out be a leader, and he doesn't have any bad days. So even I think he's able to push stuff behind him if it's going on at home, and come in and still get the best out of the boys, still train the hardest, still pipe up in meetings, and it's sort of, regardless of what's going on, he's devoted himself to the club. And I've tried to take that from him a little bit, as well as the on-field, obviously his on-field courage and head over the ball stuff. That's something that emulates through the whole group, and everyone wants to do that. But yeah, it's more the ability to just be a leader every day, like 100% of the time you've got to be on, because these young boys look up to you.
There's obviously when a big contract is announced, there's a sort of focus goes on to some other guys that haven't signed. You know, Matt, Fogg specifically. I know you guys probably don't talk about it, but are you confident that the nucleus of the group wants to stay together and contribute to, like you say, the direction of the club? Yeah,
100% confident, and that's something that I know going through the process the last, well, however long it was, but it's something that you work out individually with your manager and obviously the club, and it's something that isn't really spoken about because it is like really personal. But I would like to think that me being the 11th that signed on this year, this young group, the couple of big wins we've had, but also just the way we've played in our losses would be reason enough for those boys to sign on. And I've got no doubt that in the coming few months that'll be something that'll get looked at closely, and hopefully we can have them on board, because they're both really good players.
Tom, just on Richmond, obviously you're not doing as well as Melbourne at this stage of the year, but how much confidence does that game give you going up against a side like the Tigers?
Yeah, well, they do play a similar style, so it gives us a bit of confidence that the game plan we went in with can work against Richmond. But I tell you what, there's no underestimating that team. They've obviously got a lot of still star players, and they've had a couple of losses lately, but they are, when they're on, they're still pretty much the best team in the comp, and they can bring it to anyone. So as much as that gives us a bit of confidence beating Melbourne, it's going to be potentially on an away deck where they play their best footy, and I know a few of our boys haven't even walked on the G. So we'll go in with a bit of confidence, but we still think that they're one of the premier teams in the comp that we're going to have to knock off.
Is there still a sense of excitement for those young guys to play at the MCG? It's obviously one of the biggest stadiums in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember, I think I did like a grade 6 soccer tournament or something on there when I first walked out there. But outside of that, 2018 when I first walked out, and sort of the stadium just surrounds you, and the way the wind swirls and the smell of the grass, it is different. And Adelaide Oval's the best place to play in my opinion, but MCG has a different aura about it because of the history there. So ideally we get over there to play, and those young boys can experience that for the first time, and hopefully we can get a win to top it off.